I remember this particular day in Marine Corps boot camp where I had been smoked all morning. And by smoked, I mean we were doing physical training, PT, in the sand pit all morning. Side straddle hops, jumping jacks, push-ups, mountain climbers, leg lifts, you name it, just constantly. Every push-up you do in the sand pit, you have sand in your armpits that's rubbing raw. Everything you do hurts. And I was incredibly malnourished. I was the guide or the leader of the platoon, and so that means I was the last to sit down for a meal, each meal, and I was the first to get up. I literally had 20 or 30 seconds to eat as much as I could before I had to get up and leave. And so I was malnourished. I didn't have good nutrients. I didn't have a lot of energy. And then I'm getting smoked all morning long. And then after that, we end up going and running obstacle courses all morning. And then after that, we got to climb the rope and ring the bell. It's a 30-foot rope. It's about 2.5, 3 inches around. And you got to make it to the top. You're wearing boots and camis, so you're wearing heavy clothes. You're wet, you're full of sand, your hands are slippery and sweaty, and you got to make it up this rope. And I just remember thinking, there's just no way today I'm going to make it up this rope. I didn't have any problems getting up the rope before. I'm pretty good at doing pull-ups. It wasn't that hard of a challenge for me. I had good technique, but on this day I was done. I was smoked. And I remember something clicking in my brain. My brain was telling me to stop. I can't do it. My body was screaming in pain. But something clicked, and I was able to ring the bell that day. Barely, but I did it. And I realized that your body and your mind can go a lot further than you think. Now, if I hadn't been swarmed with a bunch of really tough circumstances that day, if I hadn't been tested by fire, I don't think I would have learned that lesson that has carried me through many situations in life. It was the testing of my faith, the testing of my mind and body in that moment that led me to a greater understanding, greater wisdom. It refined me. So that's what I want to talk about this morning. God, our Father, our perfect Daddy, is way more concerned with our development, our growth, than He is with our comfort. Let me say that again. God, our Father, is way more concerned with your development, with your growth, than He is with keeping you comfortable. Let that sit for a second. And let me go to Psalm 66, 9-12. Listen to David. He says, God keeps us alive and does not allow our feet to slip. For you, God, tested us. You refined us as silver is refined. Silver is heated up and melted so that the impurities float to the top. Then you scrape it away, then you let it cool off, and then you have a better silver. You lured us into a trap. You placed burdens on our backs. You let men ride over our heads. We went through fire and water, but you brought us out to abundance. Listen to 1 Peter 4:12. It says, Dear friends, don't be surprised when fiery ordeals come among you to test you. Okay? I want you to understand that God is going to test you. He's a perfect Father. He will initiate you. He will refine you like silver. And that means going into the furnace, getting heated up so that the impurities could be wiped away. That is what sanctification is. It's being made to look more and more and more like Jesus throughout our life. And there's no way we're going to do that unless we go through tough stuff. And so God will trap you. God will let enemies come your way. God will let you endure tough times. God will personally bring fire into your life. He will lead you into dark, dark valleys, as a perfect Father should, in order to teach you these valuable lessons. And so God is saying to you this morning, be ready to go into the fire, to be prepared, to be grown, to be tested. because he's more concerned with your growth than he is with your comfort. So my question for you, my challenge this week is real simple. What aren't you willing to let God do to you in order to be more prepared for heaven? What aren't you willing for God to do to you for him to be able to use you more in this life? What aren't you willing to let God do to you to grow you and prepare you and use you in this life so that you would have greater reward in the life to come, which is eternal? It's forever. Would you let him hurt your body? Would you let him torture you and put you through a boot camp of sorts? What wouldn't you be willing to let him do? Think about it. Think about the men of the Bible that followed Jesus, all of which were martyred, killed, tortured, beheaded, stabbed, hung on a cross upside down. The only one that escaped was John, and he didn't escape either. He went to live a life of solitude on an island prison called Patmos. And all of these men were tested, persecuted. Jesus said, we will be tested. We will be persecuted. He said, take up your cross daily and follow me. Take up your electric chair daily and follow me. The burden that comes with being a man of God, being a Christian, ignoring the world, the desires of the flesh, the things you want to do that the world says you should do because they're cool, they're fun, and they feel good. To say no to those things, to put yourself last and put others ahead of you and above you, to be willing to serve rather than to be served, to be willing to give away rather than to receive. Man, to wait for reward in heaven rather than receive it here, to give the glory to God rather than receive it yourself. He promises that it's going to be hard, but he's a perfect father. He's not just here to torture us. He's here to grow us, develop us, prepare us as a loving father should. And if I am your daddy, or if I was your daddy, I would initiate you. I would do the same thing. I would put you through tests and trials to grow you, to make sure you're ready, to make sure you're prepared. Because I want the best for you. And I'm just an earthly dad. I'm flawed in so many ways. He's a perfect father. And he wants the best for you. You better believe that. I love you guys. Have a good one.